All right. Hey, welcome everybody. It is right around 5 p.m. West Coast time. I'm going to say it's 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on that there East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. Had a little bit of a brain fart there for just a quick minute. All right, let's make sure our buttons are buttoned, etc., etc. Get that music started. Get my volume adjusted, i.e., turned off on my end so I don't have to compete with things. Looks like we've got people in the house already. We have got Lady Misty coming in saying aloha to me and the Statterbox crew. We have got Rick in the house, and we have got Shock welcoming everybody into with a lovely schedule and boot. That is exactly it. All right, you guys. It is Wednesday, and as per usual, although not always, but as per usual, today we're going to talk a little bit about whales. Whale Talk Wednesday, that is it. We're going to talk about whales and why they don't eat humans. And a couple other things too, but we're also going to take a trip to somewhere in Japan, but I'm not going to tell you where. Mostly because I can't remember. But hopefully by the time we show the video, I will remember. All right, now that we've got the little preview, we are going to get the party started. Okay. Boop. Okay, it looks like Kenny from the Cove is in the house bragging about a movie he's got to share with the Statterbox crew. I'm going to assume it's probably Only the Brave, although I'm not quite sure because he didn't really say, but that is the movie he's been talking about to me most recently. So, until I hear otherwise, I'm going to just assume that's what it is. And Mama Sean hanging out, lurking while you finish making dinner. Fantastical. Mama Sean, you don't have to tell us, you don't have to let us know nothing, but what you making for dinner? And I only ask, really, to give me some ideas. Because, when I was a kid, my mom used to complain about this all the time, and I never really thought about it. But she used to complain about how she always had to think of something to make for dinner. And it's like, well, whatever. I mean, everybody has to eat dinner, right, Mom? You're the one who cooks it. By the way, my mom was a stay-at-home mother, so my attitude towards her is, well, you're the one that cooks it, it's the way it went, okay? I'm just saying, it's just the way it went. And it looks like Darlene is in the house, and hey, Sass Squash in the house, can't stay, but got to see me start. You look great, by the way. Thank you so much, Sass. Sass is one of my longest-term friends from back in high school, even. Sass is the one who got me into roller derby, and I have no doubt in my mind that we have shared plenty stories that involved Sass, even if I did not mention him by name. So super stoked Sass could be here. And let's see here. Yes, you get tired of trying to think of things too, Mama Sean. And what's going on? Hey, Gina, good to see you in the house. And Shock, steak and salad, always. Okay, not always. Seriously, dude, steak and salad sounds delish to me. And stir-fry vegetable and shrimp. I could actually do that. Shrimp. I just got some vegetables, some broccoli. I've got green beans already in the house. Got some green onions. I got some regular onions. I got some mushrooms. And I have shrimp. I could do that. See, this is a worthwhile conversation, even if I'm the only one that benefits from it. Apologies for being so greedy. But I am a greedy goose. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so hold on, wait, what's going on? So sorry to hear that, Rick S. I missed what Rick was, getting ready for a cold north wind. It be freezing tonight here. Rick, I, was just about a few days ago, I was thinking I wanted to maybe start putting my what is it called? Plumeria. I have a plumeria plant that someone gifted me a start of, and I put it in my, I didn't get it till the end of the summer last year, so I put it in I did plant it, and leaves started to grow, but then they fell off, etc., etc. But now leaves are starting to grow back, and it's starting to be warm enough in this area that I was thinking maybe I should put the plumeria plant outside. Well, seriously, the night that I thought about doing that for the next day was a 36-degree morning. Plumerias would not love a 36-degree morning. And so I am not even ready to take my little pampered plumeria plant and put her outside yet, because even though it was 70 degrees yesterday, today it is not 70 degrees. And when I woke up this morning, my house was 61 degrees. I couldn't figure out why, because I had the heater on. I also had the back door open. Apparently in the middle of the night, I was letting the cats in and out, and I forgot to shut it. So by the time I woke up in the morning, my little nosy was freezing. And I was like, why is it 61 degrees in the house? Why is it? And, you know, my heat was on, and then I turned and looked, and my back door was, I mean, it wasn't wide open, but open enough. Yeah. And let's see here. And Rick, yeah, your plumeria is portable in when it's cold, out when the sun is warm. Yeah, I want to try to do that. I just don't know if I have faith in myself remembering to bring it in. That's the problem there. That is the problem there. And but I'm going to go back a little bit. Chuck, you're growing taro, you're growing kalo in your yard. I'm going to assume it must be more of a dry land kalo instead of a full-on lohi, version where you got to submerge it in water. But how are you? You did say that you are growing kalo. You did say that. We have to water the bejesus out of it. Okay. So, wow. Okay. It comes up every year. Right on. Now, what do you do? Do you harvest the corms and then replant it? Do you, what do you do with it, if anything? And wow, Kenny bragging. Thanks to the weather here and a little TLC from me, the rose bush on the north side of the house has over 25 flowers on it. Awesome, Kenny. That is super cool. Hey, Thomas from the Turtle. Thomas from the Turtle. Yeah. Hey, Thomas the Turtle. Good to see you. And, Shock, we do nothing so far, but I've suggested we try to do something. Well, yeah, because from what I understand, I mean, obviously, if you don't harvest them, they reappear. But from what I've seen on the YouTubes, if you harvest them and you take the corm, I think it's the corm is what it is, and then you plant the top back, it grows right back. Well, I mean, it doesn't grow right back, it takes a little while. And the starch is bad. We could use the leaf. True. That is true. And yeah, the starch, I suppose, is not what you want. But you know what? If you do, and I'm sure you know this, but on the off chance you don't know this, if you choose to cook with the corm and actually, use, if you try to make poi, say, or whatever, the kalo root, you need to cook it before you peel it. If you peel it when it's raw, you're going to get a bunch of fiberglass, like fibers into your skin. It's really irritating. It doesn't peel easily when it's raw. It doesn't, and it hurts you when it's raw. So if you're going to eat the corm or do anything with it, you need to cook it first, clean it off and everything, but cook it first and then peel it. I've watched a couple YouTubers who didn't know that, who literally had a painful time figuring out that they did it wrong. So yeah, you got to cook them first before you take them apart. Now, if anybody else who knows differently, by all means, speak up. This is my limited understanding of how to process the taro, the kalo, excuse me. And like I said, my source material is YouTube. Now, YouTube is helpful, but it's not exactly, you know, the be-all to end-all or the expert, always. And, Gina, you've killed aloe plants and cacti back in the day. Actually, that doesn't surprise me at all. And I'm not saying that as a reference to you. I'm saying that as a reference to almost everybody. People think that aloe and cactus are really easy to grow, and they actually are. But here's the deal. The moment you, like, try to take care of them, you've already done too much. I have found people kill their houseplants with too much love just as often or more often than not enough love. It's a very careful, delicate balance, but any kind of overwatering of any kind of plant will kill it real quick. And overwatering an aloe or overwatering a cactus is so easy to do. Even if you think you're not watering it all, you still probably are overwatering it. And so, Gina, don't necessarily take that as an indication of a brown thumb or a black thumb. Just take that as an indication of it's a learning curve, and lots of people spin out on that curve. You totally are not, like, it's actually, it's almost a good sign. Like, you know, it's like you want it to work, right? So if anything, you might, like, may I suggest to you a philodendron, because a philodendron is a little bit more available to take the love. Or do not get a fern. Ferns are picky. You will kill a fern. You will. I don't care if you know how to grow things. You're going to kill a fern. So don't get a fern. Let me just tell you right now, don't do a fern. Ferns are lovely. I love ferns. Don't get a fern. But another plant that actually is really a nice one is... I don't know. I'm not surprised that you can handle ferns, Shock, but ferns really are... Unless your house is remarkably humid all the time, like if you live in a hair salon or something, ferns are really very picky. And let's see here. It looks like Bacola Tea coming in for 30 months. Not a green thumb here. Bacola Tea, that is because you're too busy traveling. And Darlene coming in with, I have killed more than one fern myself. They can be touchy. Exactly. Yeah. So Gina, let me just tell you right now, ferns are not for you. And I don't mean that as like the finger that I've got pointed to you. Ferns are not for you. Look, I have 3 fingers pointed right back at me. Okay? Okay? Right. The ferns, they're not for us. And Shock, we have almost killed the fern. See, exactly. Ferns are a little bit of a sticky wicket, right? Right? But there's another plant that's actually remarkably easy to grow and survive. Unfortunately, it has a different name now. I don't know what they call it now. When I grew up, we called them wandering Jews. The plant is no longer called a wandering Jew. But when I grew up, it was called that. I don't know what they call that plant now. But it's a little green and purple and silver leafed plant. And sometimes it even flowers. Not very often. It has to be really happy to flower. But the Wandering Jew, whatever it's called now, Bacola Tea, what are they called now? I don't know what they're called now, but they are called something different now. I don't think I need to explain to you why. But Bacola Tea knows the plant I'm talking about. And Shock, we have about 20 aloes from our original aloe. Would anyone like an aloe? I totally would. If you want to send me a little start, I will happily see if I can get one started again. I killed all of my aloes, but basically through neglect. I basically gave up on them and was like, you're going away now. But aloes are something that, as long as you don't love them too much, they will survive. And okay, so Shock is coming in with inch plant daylily. And that makes sense because they grow about an inch, then they grow a leaf. They grow about an inch, they grow a leaf. That makes sense. Spider plants are not a difficult one to grow either. But the only thing with spider plants is they get, when they are happy, they get big. So you kind of have to have room for the spider plant. But Mama Sean also seconded the heart-shaped philodendron is the only inside plant I don't kill. It's in the kitchen above the sink, and I feed it your leftover coffee. That's the strangest thing I've ever heard in my life, Mama Sean. I've never heard anybody do that, but oh my goodness, there you go. There you have it, Rabbit. That's super easy. Lovely. What a great hack. And let's see here. Shock, I will DM you my that. And okay, so it's also called an inch plant. Daylily, I wouldn't Google it looking. Yeah, there. Yep, right. Let me try that one more time, shall we? I wouldn't Google daylily expecting to find the plant I'm referring to because there are a ton of things that are referred to as daylily. So daylily is probably not the search term I would use. Words are incredibly jarred there, Gina. But as far as the other stuff, the inch plant, the spiderwort, yeah, those would be good things to Google to see what the flying fork plant I'm referring to. But back in the day, it had a different name. And an old East Indian gentleman taught you about the coffee. Interesting, because I would assume it would be too acidic for the plant to just pour the coffee straight. But then again, lots of plants like coffee grounds. And then again, philodendrons, who knows? They might like acidic soil. So the coffee just might be exactly the perk they're looking for. That they're looking for. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so Rick, they renamed it. I don't really know if you're telling me the truth, Rick, but they renamed it Tradescantia Zabrina, or Wandering Dude. Okay. So there you go, Wandering Dude instead of Wandering Jew. There you have it, Rabbit. It's so Wandering Dude. I prefer that name, actually. That's the name I'm going to call it from now on. The Wandering Dude. And those plants are fairly simple to grow as well. And Kenny from the Cove. Wait, I was gone for a moment. Someone said leftover coffee? What is this mythical thing? Is it a euphemism for something else? No, I think it's legit. I think she really does mean leftover coffee. And another thing that you can do with leftover coffee, if you have it, if it exists in your universe, it makes a great addition to any kind of sauce or marinade for beef, for steak. Steak and coffee, cooking steak with a little splash of coffee in it. Mwah! Brilliant, delicious. And I learned that from Sass Squash. I don't know if Sass is still here. Sass is a vegetarian, but Sass comes from a home full of hunters and meat eaters. And indeed, the trick that he picked up from his meat-eating relatives was coffee and steak. Dad used to pour coffee in the steak pan, says Shock. Exactly. That is precisely it. So, if indeedy, and exactly, Picolati, Red Eye Gravy is based on leftover coffee. So, if indeedy this mythical ingredient known amongst us as leftover coffee exists in your universe, there are some things you can do with it, like water your philodendron, make a good steak, or make some gravy. Now, if leftover coffee doesn't exist in your universe, you're SOL. That's right, you're SOL. And I know normal people would just be like, well, why don't you make some coffee to make some leftover coffee? Because I know that if you make some coffee for leftover coffee, you will drink the coffee. And let me just tell you right now, it's 8 o'clock at night. What are you doing drinking a pot of coffee at 8 o'clock at night. You're going to be asking yourself that, but what are you going to be doing? You're going to be drinking the coffee. And what are you going to be doing while you're drinking coffee? Wondering why you're up so late drinking coffee. And what are you going to do after that? You're going to be up even later because you drank coffee and there's nothing else to do with your night. So you might as well pour yourself a cup of coffee and wonder why it is you can't get to sleep. And then you remember, as you empty the coffee down the drain, I made this pot so I could make some gravy. But by then, dinner's over and you're screwed. And that, my friends, is exactly what's going to happen to you. Let's see here. You will not drink the coffee my stomach can handle. 1 coffee per day. That escalated quickly. Yep, which is why caffeine is considered a drug. Exactly. Precisely. Uh-oh, I just remembered I didn't do something today that I should have done. Okay, well, we'll deal with that later. Sorry, guys, I just, boop. Kenny, you're a night owl anyway, so you'll do as much as 4 cups of coffee if you're on a writing binge. Right. And Mama Sean, I only drink iced coffee down here, so make a big pot and put it in the fridge. There you have it. And Fuzzy Cat, glad we're not talking about intestinal problems again like Sunday night. There you have it. Good to see you, Fuzzy Cat. And well, I'll tell you what, man, if you want to go that route, coffee, some people can only handle 1 cup. Otherwise their gut says no more. And Lono was the music for the chatter. Well, he still is, isn't he? I don't know. We'll see. You're glad you missed that show? It was kind of a fun show, actually, Fuzzy Cat. People were laughing. But hey, yes, it was very scattered, as it were. But hey, Picola T, if you're still here, I forgot to, oh, you are still here. Fantastic. Can you tell me, because we're going to share this today, can you tell me again where the train ride was that you sent to me? Because in a little bit, we're going to grab ourselves a warm cup of coffee and take a train ride through Japan, thanks to Picola T. But alas, I cannot remember where in Japan exactly this train was coming from or going to. What I can tell you is, hey Trail Dust, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Picola T, did you send more than 1 train ride? Not that I know of. It's the 5-minute one that you sent, I think, just yesterday. And it's the one with the oyster farms that you were like, and we got to eat the oysters too, if that rings any bells. So, because I imagine you have been on more than 1 train. So, my request for this information might be bad. Or might be confusing, I guess. And Shock, we're going to take the train from Krungtep to Chiang Mai because he wants to. You better bring a book. There you go. And yes, like most folks, if you drink too much coffee, it gets things moving. Yep, you better believe it. Okay, so Picola T sent us a train ride that is about 5 minutes long, and if the train is going too fast and you're like, whoa, dude, this is too much, don't look at the closeness, like focus far away, because the background scenery, the main scenery that you're looking at, that doesn't move very quickly. So, all right, we've got a train ride that goes from Hiroshima to Iwakuni on the local morning commuter, past the oyster farms in Hiroshima Bay. The entire ride was about an hour, but we're only getting about 5 minutes of it. And no, this was not a bullet train. This is just a slow local train. That being said, even slower trains can pick up enough speed. So if you're like looking at the bushes going by the windows, don't look at the bushes going by the windows. Look past the bushes going by the windows and you'll see the bigger picture. And if it makes you a little nauseous to watch it, well, it literally is only 5 minutes. And so come back later. Sorry. Yeah, exactly, Piccola T. You would not have been able to film a bullet train just blur, exactly. And there are some portions where it is just blur here, because they're going through like little tunnels or whatever, or underpasses, but those portions are super quick. And yeah, so here we go. We've got ourselves a little Japan train ride, thanks to Piccola T. Let's do it. Boop.
Attention, please. The next stop is Kuba. Thank you.
は閉まります。
All right, there we have it. So I really enjoyed that video because when I think of Japan, and I know this is silly, I know this is wrong, but seriously, when I think of Japan, I think of Tokyo, I think of the other like major urban centers. You know, I think of high rises, I think neon, I think urban density, crowd. But the reality is that isn't what every place in Japan looks like. Just like that isn't, you know, not every place in the United States looks like New York City or Los Angeles, California. And so I really enjoyed this train ride because it actually gave me a glimpse of like everyday towns, everyday people, everyday life, not, you know, not what movies or media portray it. It's just like, nope, there's a house, it's got a tile roof, nothing fancy, looks like a house. And I don't know, the everydayedness is kind of neat in that video. So thank you so much, Piccola T. Really, your around the world in 80 months is helping us learn so much about so many places. And I think it's so awesome that you're sharing all these videos with us. So thank you so much, Piccola T. And let's see here. Oh, Kenny talking about reservation dogs. Yes, when the spirit tried to ride off and the horse just laid down. Too funny. Yes, if you guys haven't been able to catch Reservation Dogs on Hulu yet, I really encourage you to. It is heartbreaking, touching, but mostly it's hysterical. It is hysterical. Not in necessarily the traditional sitcom ways, but you just have to see. You just have to see. But here's the deal, y'all. And I'm not even gonna lie. I feel really stupid about this. Las Vegas is doing the Olympics in 2028? Really? Las Vegas got the 2028 Olympics? I had no idea. But I do think that this is an interesting bit of infrastructure that's being built for the Olympics. Oh, Los Angeles. What? So, wait, now I'm confused. Okay, Piccola T, no, I hadn't heard it either. I apparently misunderstood. So wait, okay, so all right, what? Hold on. All right, now I'm confused. Los Angeles having the 2028 Olympics absolutely makes sense. But what doesn't make sense to me is creating this high-speed train from Las Vegas to Los Angeles under the auspices of, oh, it's for the Olympics. Like, enough people travel between LA and Las Vegas that a train, that seems like it should have been a logical thing to have regardless. So are they thinking that people are going to be like flying into Vegas and hoteling it in Vegas and then taking the train to Los Angeles for the events? I don't understand what one has to do with the other. That doesn't, now, if it were reversed, I could see the logic in the sense that there's only one airport in Las Vegas. There's a quadrillion airports in the LA area. So it would make more sense, and there's more lodging in the LA area than, I know that Vegas has got a lot of lodging, but when it comes to hosting an Olympic-size event, LA has the infrastructure for that type. Okay, Mama Sean, this is a long-term transportation plan and has nothing to do with the Olympics. That makes way more sense to me. Because you making this this train for the purpose of that seems like a stupid waste. I mean, I guess actually not a stupid waste. In fact, the opposite of a stupid waste now that I think about it, because a lot of stuff that gets built for Olympics then gets trashed after the Olympics are done. It's a very temporary venue, and that's just stupid, I think. So I suppose it's kind of cool that it would be permanent, because there is a permanent need, because it's going to be a 2-ish hour trip, says Shock. Well, it's an 8-hour trip right now to drive, so that absolutely is a beautiful thing, right? But the idea of having it from Vegas to LA just for the Olympics, and let's see here. Oh, okay, so Mama Sean is saying it's a triangle of LA to Phoenix, Phoenix to Vegas, and Vegas to LA. Interesting. And then, okay, so Pussycat is then saying that they said it would be done just before the Olympics, so maybe that's just a coincidence, not a reason. I'm going to assume that is what's going on. Let's see here. And I know, Shock, I am a little bit surprised that Phoenix is in the loop, but you know what? Whatever. Let Phoenix be. And okay, well, Mama Sean, I guess you bring up a good point. Help get funding from the Olympics to build it. Okay. Oh, really, Picola T? I thought it was an 8-hour drive between Las Vegas and LA, but actually a fast car, it takes about 4 hours to drive between LA and Las Vegas, but just a little accident or traffic can turn that into a 6+ hour nightmare. Got it. And yeah, exactly, Mama Sean. It's not that anyone wants to go to Phoenix, it's that Phoenix wants to go to LA. That could be. That's funny. That's cute. All right. So I'm trying to do 2 things at once and it's just not working. Alrighty, here we have it, Rabbit. And all right. So, let's see if I missed anything here. Wait. Who's talking about Eaton? I like Eaton. Who's talking about Eaton? Oh, I can't find it. All right, then. There we go. All right. So, Pussycat, I thought that you didn't want to talk about stomach ailments earlier. Your tummy hurts, and now you want to talk about gas. Well, I can tell you right now, if you go stick your butt in the air, your gas in your intestines might rise, and you might be able to poot a poot. Do a little poot. And at least you know it's your stomach that's aching and the like there, Pussycat. Because I'll tell you what, I had a friend. In fact, the friend was online earlier today, Sass Squash. Well, my friend Sass, he had a dad, and his dad was having a heart attack. He was convinced he was having a heart attack. It was awful. He was in pain. And it was problematic, and he went to the hospital. And they did tests to make sure that his ticker was okay. And it turns out he was not having a heart attack, but he insisted he was having a heart attack, and he still felt awful. He was hooked up to all sorts of things, and he was just complaining, and it was an awful, awful mess. Pussycat, it's okay. You'll maybe appreciate this. I'm not suggesting you have a heart attack, or that you might even be close to one. In fact, after they figured out he wasn't having a heart attack and they ruled out pretty much everything, a nurse said, hey, you know what? Why don't we go take a walk? So hooked up to all the machines and the whatever, they walked him around and got him moving a little bit. And once he started moving a little bit, you know, there was a little leak. And it got more and more, and it turns out his heart attack was just gas. Once he ripped a real big one, he was like, oh, I feel better now. And he had to skip to his loo. And so, yeah, they discharged him from the hospital because his heart attack was actually just that he needed to fart. Yeah. And let's see here. Bacola T, a number of mid-air heart emergencies have turned out to be indigestion. Go figure. Yes, exactly. And yeah, exactly. Yes, digestive issues, such really no fun with the pains and other not so pleasant side effects. You got it. Yeah. So and let's see here. When you have gas built up in the digestive system, it increases the pressure on the thorax and causes all sorts of unpleasant things, as well as a racing heart rate. Exactly. Oh, Terry in Scotland. I don't know if I'm happy to see you or not. I mean, I'm very happy to see you. Actually, let me rephrase that. I'm not so sure that you're very happy to be here, though. Welcome, Raiders. Welcome. We just started talking about farts. Yeah. Not something I'm necessarily proud of. Probably not something I'm going to earmark on the timeline. But yeah, here we are. Puzzy Cat going back to a very safe topic. So how's the cats? How are the cats doing? How's the cats doing? Cats are doing great there, Puzzy Cat. Mr. Leo came in last night to eat some food. Part of the reason, I don't know if you got this at the beginning of the stream, I woke up this morning freezing cold, heater blaring. Why is my house so cold? I left the back door open. Why did I leave the back door open? Because Dusty and Ashes and Leo all needed to get let in all at the exact same time. And because of cat weirdness, only one cat could come in at a time. So I got tired of waiting, left the door open, wandered away, and forgot to close the back door. Yeah. And so Terry in Scotland saying meow to Ashes, Dusty, and Leo, and they are definitely in the house saying meow back. And then let's see here, and Pacola T coming in with some medical stuff, which we try not to talk about, but I opened the door with the farting stories. On the other hand, what might seem like a really bad indigestion could actually be a heart emergency, especially for women who don't have the typical chest pain that men experience. Okay, that's all the Cal stuff for there today. And Gina, I will give them all head scratches once they're back within arm's reach. Darlene, were the kitties on guard? Well, they I don't think they were on guard. They were just all on the back porch waiting their turn to come in. And Dusty ran in first, and then Leo went about halfway in and was waiting to see what Dusty would do before he decided. And Ashes was behind Leo, and Ashes does not let Leo go behind her, so she was waiting for Leo to come in before she even thought about coming in. So, yeah, there you have it. Shocky found a guy on YouTube today who posts shorts where his cat is trying to maul him until he starts singing. Interesting. Yeah, my cats have not trained me that way. Not yet. Probably never ever, because I don't think they want, I don't think they want to hear me. I don't think they want to hear me. And Mama Sean, you have a tattoo of a broken heart as a conversation starter, so you can talk to women about heat issues. I'm guessing you mean heart issues. So there you have it, Rabbit. And that is such a brilliant, a brilliant tattoo. That is, every tattoo has a little bit of a meaning, even if it's just a case of, oh, I did this for fun. But yeah, dude, that is super awesome. That is super, super awesome. All right, you guys. So it is right around our Lono listening break. And so I will see if I can go gather a kitten. But until that happens, why don't we listen to a Lono song? And I'm not going to tell you what Lono song we're going to listen to because honestly, I don't remember what one I chose. Even though I chose it during the train ride that we watched for Cola Tea, because that was the thing I forgot to do earlier today when I said, oh, I forgot to do something. I forgot to pick a Lono Listening Break. So I went and picked one, and I don't remember what it is. So let's listen, and let's find out, shall we? Okay, cool.
Top of the morning, 6 o'clock dawning. We're about to start a beautiful day. Will we go west side? Kind of a long drive. Think I'm gonna stay right here in Kihei. In Kihei, islands on the ocean. There we'll spend our sunny days. The beach is in reach. We're sailing the South Shore down at the Cove Park, watching the whales. Poolside with some of our friends. At the oasis, the fun never ends. It's the island rhythm, this side of Maui. Look at the moonlight shining so bright. In Kihei, islands and the oceans, there we will spend our sunny days. The beach is in reach, we're sailing the South Shore down at the Cove Park, watching the whales. Blue skies today. Blue skies in Kihei. Here comes the trade wind blowing away all of the troubles you're feeling today. Watching the whales. Look at the people having a good time. They get the rhythm when they hear Marty Dread. It's the sensation sweeping the nation. Yes, it began right here in Kihei. In Kihei, islands and the oceans, there we'll spend our sunny days. The beach is in reach. We're sailing the South Shore down at the Cove Park, watching the whales. Blue skies today. Blue skies in Kihei. Here comes the trade wind blowing away all of the troubles you're feeling today.
There we have it, Rabbit. That is one Lono Listening Break. And you know, Gina, if we run out of things to talk about, we just might take a second Lono Listening Break. But we have a little bit more to talk about because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, it is going to be a little bit of a Whale Talk Wednesday. And, Terry in Scotland coming in with the question of all times. Before we work on artificial intelligence, why don't we do something about natural stupidity? And let's see here, Lady Misty, Lono might even like hats more so. Lono loves hats, clearly. I have no idea how many hats he has, though. I can tell you that no matter what video you see him in, he's pretty much going to have a hat on. And pretty much every single video he has a different hat on. Although I do know he has one particular bucket hat that is his favorite. But you don't see him wearing his favorite hat very often. Because he wears so many different hats. He's got hats galore. He's got hats galore. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove. No. But I will maybe find Pule-o-o. But no. I am not going to even look for Puke-o-o, and I know what you meant. I'm just good-naturedly laughing at the typo. But Pule-o-o, I can see if I can. I think I've got that relatively easy to grab. So if we have time, we definitely can. Exactly. Stupid auto carrot. Exactly. No, I knew exactly what you meant, but just reading it just, it made me laugh. I had to laugh. And, all right. So you guys, last stream, we talked about a lot of different things last stream. One of the things we talked about, Terry in Scotland mentioned, was a little baby orca that was trapped in Vancouver, on the north end of Vancouver Island. I don't have any new anything on that. We're not going to talk about that today. But one of the other things that we were talking about, Andre mentioned that recently there have been found some Pacific white-sided dolphins that have been hanging out with southern resident orcas. And scientists were very confused about that because as far as they are concerned, or as far as they know, Pacific white-sided dolphins should be absolutely terrified of orcas because orcas are one of the few marine mammals that prey on dolphins. That being said, as anybody who's spent any time on this stream knows, the southern resident orcas strictly eat salmon, and they have absolutely no desire to eat any other kind of marine mammal, such as a seal, a penguin, or a dolphin. So apparently, some scientists are confused about this whole situation, and I'd like to share with you a video, and B, a bit of context for the video that I'm going to be reading. So, let's see here. Let's see. All right, so hopefully this will work. This is a video of clearly Pacific white-sided dolphins swimming with orcas, and they are absolutely not at all terrified of them. I mean, they're practically swimming into the orca's mouth, for goodness sake. So, this is pretty cool footage, and then I want to give you some context while you're watching it. So, let's do this, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do this. And then I do this. Okay, cool. So there is no sound with this video, by the way. So not hearing anything but me is actually normal. So you can see these big, orcas, and then these much smaller black and white little creatures. Those are the Pacific white-sided dolphins. And So researchers got this footage with drone footage, and they were very surprised to see the dolphins playing within a few fin spans of killer whales' toothy jaws. The dolphins are right in front of the killer whales, right in front of their mouths, said Lance Barrett Leonard, a senior scientist and director of the Marine Mammal Research Program at Coastal Ocean Research Institute. This kind of association between one species and its apparent predator is unusual. But it turns out the dolphins have nothing to fear from these particular whales, also known as orcas. Southern resident killer whales are nearly physically identical to and very genetically similar to the officially the same species as the dolphin-eating Biggs killer whales that roam the same waters. But it just so happens that the southern residents are strict pescatarians and avoid all red meat. Somehow, the scientists say, the dolphins can tell the difference. But Barrett Leonard thinks they're still being pretty bold. It's pretty risky for marine mammal to approach a killer whale in the hopes that it's approaching a fish eater. Two forms of killer whale look very, very similar to us, he said. These dolphins seem to have absolute confidence around the fish eaters and would get eaten immediately if they were around the mammal eaters. Researchers aren't sure how the dolphins can tell the difference, but they think it's based on the sounds the whales make. Southern resident whales are very much chattier than their Biggs cousins, making frequent calls to one another and relying heavily on echolocation while fishing. But this still leaves the question of why the dolphins would be so eager to hang out with these orcas, even if they were perfectly safe. So, researchers have witnessed dolphins charging from over a kilometer away to join the killer whales after noticing them, and then hanging around, sometimes weeks at a time. They suspect the dolphins may actually be protecting themselves from Biggs killer whales. The Biggs killer whales and southern resident killer whales take great pains to avoid each other in such a conspicuous way that you might imagine there must be a reinforcement of their conflict occasionally. From that perspective, the dolphins are safer when they're with the southern resident whales. But Barrett Leonard acknowledges it's difficult to know if the dolphins are aware of that. The researchers suggest that dolphins might also be trying to learn more about the killer whales in general to better avoid the dolphin-eating kind. And so let's see here. They're also not the only species to be seen hanging out with these whales. Dall's porpoises also hang out with the southern residents on occasion. And let's see here. So that is about the gist of what they know there. And I, frankly, am annoyed by some of their thoughts. But it looks like we've got Thundering the Lightning coming in. Vegetarian orcas. No, I wish they were vegetarian. That would give them lots more to eat. But no, they just eat the salmon. That's what they do. And Terry in Scotland, lots of strict Presbyterians in Scotland too. Yes, indeed. In fact, that's one of the reasons why Scotland back in the day was the home of many ship captains. What the heck does that have to do with the Presbyterian Church? Let me tell you what it has to do with the Presbyterian Church. The Presbyterian Church was started in Scotland, and the founder of the Presbyterian Church felt that every single town needed a church, and every single church needed to act as a schoolhouse, thereby bringing education widespread across the area of Scotland. Scotland was, for quite some time, one of the best educated countries in the world, and those best educated people, i.e. ship captains, came from Scotland because they were smart enough to figure out how to captain a ship. And that is why many ships back in the day were captained by folks who claimed Scotland as their hometown, as their home country. There you have it, rabbit. And let's see here. Vegetarian orcas will have vegetarian farts and accelerate global warming. And exactly, Terry, those ship captains didn't need navigators. They had predestination. Funny. But here's the deal, though, you guys. And exactly, Pacolati, they're the Salish Sea bodyguards. But here's the deal, though, you guys. I really resent some of these implications that these researchers were coming to. I mean, first off, The orcas and the Pacific white-sided dolphins, they share a same space. They live roughly in the same neighborhood. If you can't tell your neighbors apart, you haven't been paying attention. Just because humans have a hard time telling the southern residents and the bigs apart from each other doesn't mean that orcas and doesn't mean that the Pacific white-sided dolphins and the Dall's porpoises are going to have the same difficulty. Not to mention, bigs transient orcas and southern resident orcas speak two completely different languages. They don't understand each other. Are you telling me that as an English-speaking person, if you heard someone speaking Russian and you heard someone speaking Spanish, you wouldn't be able to tell that even though you didn't speak either of those languages, that those were two distinctly different languages? Absolutely, you would be able to tell that those were two completely different languages. Russian sounds nothing like Spanish, right? So I think it's really arrogant that they assume that the dolphins are taking an unnecessary risk because they don't know. Yes, they do. They do. Just because you and I don't speak orca doesn't mean a dolphin isn't familiar with the different dialects. I mean, come on. Even if you want to make it a little bit more difficult, that's right, Darlene. I was actually thinking that earlier. Just because, let's make it a little bit more difficult. Can you, as a non-Chinese speaking person and a non-Japanese speaking person, if you hear Chinese being spoken and you hear Japanese being spoken, can you tell that there's a little bit different? My ear is tuned enough that I can tell which is different. I'm not necessarily going to be able to say, oh, this one's this and this is that, but I can say they're different. Right? Right? And Gina, I did see your question. And yes, indeed, orcas are a type of dolphin. They're the largest dolphin species in the world. And we're slowly learning that even though technically they are right now, only one species of orca in the entire world, officially, we know that that's not true. They're starting to recognize that bigs transients have a very different genetic profile than the southern residents, and I have no doubt in my mind that as we go further into the orca world, we will realize that there's more than one species of orca. That is right, you guys. Soapbox. I was on a soapbox. And Options, so good to see you. So good to see you. I'm so glad I made that little soapbox emoji. It's coming so handy. I get accused of soapbox so much, and it's always a legit accusation. And Terry, excuse me, Kenny, I don't know if I describe it like that, but exactly, it is different. Spanish is a pleasant flowing language. Russian is a kraken trying to cough up a hairball while reciting the alphabet. Not so much that exactly, but yes, very different to the ear when you listen to them speak. Very, very different. Yes, indeed. Now, this is the video that I did want to share with you guys the most because, quite honestly, it's the strangest video I've ever seen in my life. I mean, no, it's not the strangest, but this video is, hold on. Digital wave sounds of whales are distinctly different, like music, I think. Exactly, Thundering the Lightning. You don't have to be a whale whisperer, even. I mean, even as a human being who doesn't speak whale, I can hear. If you play me a sound of an orca versus a blue whale, trust me, very different noises. Very, very different noises. Very different sounds. And so those human researchers are really... I feel like their point of view is a little bit arrogant. You know, just because humans can't understand it, well, obviously the dolphins must not be able to understand it. Really? That's, like I said, that's their neighbor. That's their flippin' neighbor, for goodness sake. They know them better than we do. And option, I mean, I don't speak dog, but I know my poodle speaks a different dialect than my Roddy. Exactly. So, all right, you guys. Now, this video, it's a much longer video. It's actually a 12-minute long video. And the maker of this video, I wrote it down, was WATOP, W-A-T-O-P. We are... it's like we are the top of something. WATOP, it stands for some. If you go to their YouTube page, it'll tell you what the what WATOP stands for. I think it's like we are top predator, or we are the top predator, or something like that. And it's all about top predators. It's not about humans at all. It's about all the different types of top predators. And they have posed a question and gone into the details. Why don't orcas eat human beings? And honestly, it's the way they come about asking and answering this question is quite fascinating, very scientific, and you learn a lot. I learned a lot about different kinds of orcas when watching this video. And I have to tell you guys, anybody who hangs out here on this channel, you are amongst the top like 99% of orca knowledge having people in the world these days. Because what we're talking about in the last year or so here on this page, this stream, is literally groundbreaking new knowledge in the world of the species of orca. Like we've talked about earlier, they are just now realizing there's actually 2 genetically distinct different types of orca, when actually there's probably like 5 or 6, but they don't know that yet. But they have realized, a scientific study in the last 4 months, literally this year, was just published acknowledging we need to reclassify and reclassify what we know as orcas. And that's right, I'm making waves about orcas. And so here you might learn a little bit more things about the different orcas from around the northern hemisphere. This video doesn't even talk about southern hemisphere, it just talks about northern hemisphere. And it does pose the question, why don't orcas eat us? And it comes up with some pretty good answers. Picola T, aren't humans sinewy and bad tasting, or so you've read? They touch on that topic. And so, let's see here. Kenny, though, going back to the language topic, I have learned one Russian phrase that I consider to be very important. Translated, it means coffee, please. And you kind of just want to go to Russia so you can order a coffee. That's right. And then Terry, yes, you thought Elle McPherson, then you remembered my new name. Yes, and it's not really my new name. It's my alter ego, my insurance agent alter ego, Elle. I'm Molly. If I'm here, if I'm Mad Statter, I am not Elle. I am Mad Statter. Molly comes to Mad Statter. Mad Statter comes to Molly. Elle is sophisticated and would never say things like this. Except for when she's Mad Statter. Yeah, there you go. All right, so considering you are what you eat, is it any wonder why orcas don't eat humans? Well, there you go. But let's watch this and let's learn a little bit more about orcas versus humans and why we don't get it. Boop.
If you trace the ocean food chain from top to bottom, it always ends with an orca. Even great white sharks feel animal fear when they see orcas and leave the area where they appear. But we find orcas cute because they don't attack us. Sure, they attack boats, but only boats. Orcas don't care about the crew. Moreover, there are areas in the world where people often find themselves in the water together with orcas, and even then they don't attack. Although people, compared to great white sharks, are much more defenseless and orcas have plenty of opportunities to take advantage of this, why don't orcas attack? Scientists probably won't ever come up with a complete and final answer, like some absolute truth. Think about it. We're dealing with smart animals passing down generations of their own culture, yet we can't even talk to them. All we can do is make guesses. And experts have a few theories about why they don't attack, and all these theories make sense. One reason is that orcas are just really picky eaters. Moreover, they're quite traditional, with each pod having its own preferences that the animals stick to. Anything outside of their usual menu isn't considered food, including humans. Young orcas pick up eating habits from their mothers and stick to them because orcas actually highly value their traditions. It might sound odd when talking about animals. For instance, in the eastern Canadian Arctic, half of the orcas mainly feed on belugas and narwhals, while the other half primarily prey on ringed seals. In Greenland, orcas consume all available prey, while in Iceland, the Faroe Islands, and Norway, most orcas eat herring. However, a small number of orcas in Norway and Iceland also consume a significant portion of marine mammals like porpoises and seals. While all orcas are considered one species, they can be differentiated by their physical characteristics like fin shape, size, and saddle patches, as well as by their behavior and diet. If it's all about culture, people are off the menu simply because they've never been on it before, and it's in our best interest to keep it that way. A great example of restrictions within a group can be seen with dolphins. Orcas are the only predators known to regularly kill and eat Pacific white-sided dolphins off the coast of British Columbia and Washington. Scientists were surprised when they observed these dolphins playing right next to a pod of orcas, which didn't even attempt to harm them. Only later did they realize that this particular pod of orcas had migrated from the south and stuck to a no-mammals diet. How exactly the dolphins managed to figure out that the orcas posed no threat to them remains a mystery. Perhaps it was a daring act of bravery. Let's not forget orcas are known for their adaptability, so if they ever decide to break their taboos and start hunting us, they'll do it effortlessly. Besides, orcas can indeed hunt marine animals for practice or even fun. It's unclear why they don't consider humans as subjects for such cruel games. According to certain specialists, orcas might see humans as something weird, definitely not on the menu. It's not something they should be concerned about, nor something they need to pay much attention to. Other experts believe that in the wild, orcas generally follow a pretty universal rule: don't attack humans. This is probably due to both biological and cultural reasons. Orcas have been around for about 11 million years, while we humans are relatively new on the scene. We might not match up to them physically, but clearly they've decided we're worth coexisting with. Well, thanks a bunch. Another explanation could be that we simply aren't tasty enough to make it onto the orcas' menu. Yeah, they're incredibly picky eaters. Imagine a 3-year-old child who suddenly decided to be fussy and now eats only one specific dish from a particular plate. That's how picky orcas can be. For example, they have a taste exclusively for the fattest Chinook salmon, paying no attention to the multitude of other fish swimming around. Even those with a more varied diet are quite choosy. Once they hunted down a gray whale, but only feasted on its tongue. It's really unclear how they figured out what humans taste like if they've never actually tried them before. Maybe the sharks told them. Another reason why orcas might not eat us is that we don't look like any of the things they usually snack on. Compared to marine mammals and tasty fresh fish, it seems like we've got nothing much to offer orcas. Scientists studying the diet of orcas discovered that they mostly feast on fish. Only about 10 to 17% prefer marine mammals, which means for a significant portion of orcas, we're not even close to being considered food. I mean, sure, you could confuse a person for a sea lion, but we look nothing like salmon. Those orcas that favor fish won't be able to start hunting humans even if they decide to change their diet. Their teeth simply aren't built for it. They're too small and not designed for catching mammals, plus their jaws work differently. The teeth of orcas, which prey on mammals, are designed for grabbing and tearing apart their prey. In short, orcas that primarily eat fish aren't physically equipped to eat us unless they evolve specifically for it. You know,
coming in here. So, if you remember our last stream, where I was hypothesizing, knowing full and well this was not really going to happen, but we were talking about the baby orca that's trapped and that it's a big transient orca, and we were hypothesizing, wouldn't it be neat, or I was hypothesizing, wouldn't it be neat if that baby orca could get adopted into the southern residents, and the southern residents could get taught by that baby orca how to eat marine mammals. This basically threw water on that pathetic little dream that I knew was just a dream and not realistic. But once it was outlined for me that their teeth are different and the way their jaw works is different, okay, clearly these are very different mammals. And I do believe that if we already know all this about their physiological differences, it's really silly for us to assume that there's just one genetic species of orca. Like I said, we're realizing there's two. I think there might be more. Like we just saw in that graphic, there's at least 3 different jaw types, 3 different tooth types. So 3 different types of orcas? I don't know. That's just my guess, but that's my hypothesis here. And the video's not done yet, so we'll continue on with what humans taste like. We'll carry on. Hold on.
We've got a bunch of bones as well. Maybe it's too much for the orcas as well? Let's do some math here. A grown-up skeleton weighs about 22 to 24 pounds. When orcas hunt, they don't chew their food, they tear it apart or swallow it whole, bones and all. Considering that orcas can weigh over 6 tons, 22 pounds of bones wouldn't be a big deal for them. So it's not really about the bones. It's about the nutritional value. Orcas need to consume around 170,000 calories every day. That's about how many calories 85 people eat in a day. Yep, they're that voracious, considering their size. Scientists, not Hannibal Lecter types, figured out that there are roughly 126,000 calories in one person. So what does this mean? Well, we already know that most orcas stick to a strict diet, so if some pod were to suddenly start eating people, they'd only be interested in humans. Fish and other marine animals wouldn't be on the menu anymore. And here's the thing, an adult orca needs to consume at least 1 person a day, ideally 2, to survive. Of course, it depends on the calorie content of each particular human. Orcas don't often live alone. They tend to hang out in groups of 5 to 30, but sometimes they get together in packs of 50 or more. So imagine a group like that would need to eat anywhere from 9 to 50 people every single day. That's just crazy. Where would they find that many people to snack on? Especially in colder areas where people aren't exactly lining up to take a dip in the water and become orca snacks. It's not just about calories. Scientists found out that during evolution, cetaceans lost 4 out of the 5 basic tastes. They can't tell if food is bitter, sweet, or sour. All they sense is the saltiness of food, and it's gotta be just right. A person weighing 110 pounds usually carries about 0.4 pounds of sodium chloride, which is about 40 teaspoons. Knowing that an orca needs to eat 1.5 to 2 humans, it turns out it would be consuming about 0.8 pounds of sodium chloride daily. But what about their regular diet? 2 pounds of seal meat contain about 0.04 ounces of sodium. On average, seals weigh around 154 pounds, so that means each seal carries about 0.17 ounces of sodium chloride. Now let's compare the salt content in humans and...
That should have been pounds, not ounces. Basically, what that graphic was indicating is we're twice as salty as the average marine mammal. So think of a harbor seal as a plump, juicy plum, and think of a human as a salty crackseed plum, dried plum.
Seals, maybe orcas simply understand that we're too salty for them. After all, they don't even need to chew. Humans sweat, producing salt, and orcas are smart enough to realize that. Let's all celebrate this together.
Oops, sorry about that. Wrong button. But yes, indeed, Kenny, as you mentioned, why do we need to figure out why they don't? Can't we just take it as a win that they don't try to eat us? Yeah, that was basically the summary that that guy had as well. It was like, I just think we should be thankful they don't. And by the way, like I said, that video actually was 12 minutes long. I edited out a lot of other scientific examples of why they don't eat humans. So if you actually are interested in more reasons why they might not eat humans, It's out there. It's a 12-minute long video. We watched almost, a little more than half, but there is a whole other half of that video out there. WATOP, WATOP. Search for that on YouTube. You'll be able to see it. It's one of their more recent releases. And so I thought that it was particularly interesting because, like Darlene said, she didn't know about the teeth differences. I didn't realize all of the First off, I didn't realize that the majority of orcas eat fish. I truly was under the impression that the fish-eating orcas were kind of in the minority, and that orcas pretty much ate things like seal, the marine mammals, and I think actually, I don't think this. I think I accidentally edited this part out. But this last video, I don't think mentioned the sharks, right? Yeah, I don't think it did. So they talk about the orcas that attack the sharks and why they only eat the great white shark liver. Dudes, oh my God. Do you know why they only eat the liver? The liver has over 2 million calories in it. 2 million calories. So it is such it's the most calorie dense portion of the shark. So, I mean, it just talk about like, a mouthful of peanut butter, it's just like high dense calorie food in such a small package. It makes sense that they would just go for the one thing, and now they're fed for like a week, so 2 million calories in a shark's liver. Can't believe that. And I mean, I do believe that, but yeah. And Terry, which critter is particularly fond of humans for dinner, you mean? Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that bears. And I've heard, tale of maybe some lions. They might enjoy a human for dinner. And then, as Gina points out, and Maui can attest, and by Maui I mean the island of, not the god. I mean, I don't know, maybe the god could too. I haven't had a talk with him recently, and no, I don't mean rock. Yeah, tigers, for sure, tigers. But yeah, the great white sharks also. Yeah, polar bears will actually hunt humans. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, there are some critters. We do like to think of ourselves as top notch, but we're actually just sort of second tier. There are more tops to the top. And mosquitoes, exactly. In fact, I don't know. Yeah, mosquitoes, absolutely. And whereas something like fleas, though they can eat off of us, do prefer other critters, because apparently fleas don't reproduce as well if they only eat human blood. They have to eat other mammals' blood in order to like really get their reproductive stuff going. Bedbugs also is something that will definitely, we are not a top predator. Yeah, bedbugs definitely enjoy munching on us, for sure. God, that's just... How the... Did we go from orcas to bedbugs in like 2 seconds? My, oh my, does the chatter scatter? My, oh my. Hannibal Lecter. There you go. He does enjoy a nice liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. That is true. And let's see here. Bacola T is saying the biologist that you listened to last fall theorizes that orcas have highly developed scanning ability. Oh, I have no doubt in my mind. Yeah, I mean, they would have to, right? I mean, yeah. And let's see here. Yeah, exactly, Kenny. Even fleas don't see us as column A food. That is it. And And let's see here. But you got to differentiate between a feed meal and a kill meal. True, but now, Rick, I can appreciate that logic. However, it gets a little blurry at times. You would think it would be pretty straight ahead, right? But one of the most deadly creatures that humans encounter every year, a creature that kills more people than a lot of other creatures every year, the mosquito. So even though the mosquito is using us as a feed, they still can end up making it a kill. Not through necessarily their jaws of death, but by contracting the disease that they just injected in us. Yeah, exactly, mosquitoes, because of diseases. So, but yeah, it's not, but okay, so yeah, you've got, so immediate kill, like a lion. You're lucky if it's an immediate kill, like a lion, but yeah. Yeah, Lyme disease, I think, is more from ticks, but like we've got malaria, West Nile virus. There's a fork ton of stuff that mosquitoes pass along. Do mosquitoes pass along Lyme disease? I know that ticks do, but I never heard that mosquitoes might. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm just like, oh, really? Mosquitoes, huh? Interesting. And so Shock just looked it up. Skeeters kill 750,000 humans. Humans kill 437,000, and then snakes kill 100,000. And Gil's coming in. Nope, just the ticks. Gina saying, yeah, just ticks, I think. Okay. Check this out, you guys. There's, West Nile virus, full-on mosquito-borne illness. But apparently, you guys, now I don't remember what tick or ticks transmit this, and this is a phenomenon that they're just starting to identify. But I have a feeling one of my friends has had this happen to them. But apparently they're finding out some ticks when they bite some people, and they're not quite sure what is happening to cause this reaction, but. Let's just say you're a meat eating, a steak loving, chicken eating, fisherman fishing, food lover of all the meats. If you get bit by this certain tick that's carrying a certain thing, suddenly you become allergic to meat and you can't eat it anymore. Almost overnight. And they're starting to realize that this is a legit thing that does happen. And there you go. Shock. A friend of yours can no longer eat red meat after a tick bite. He can't have chicken and fish, but no more beef. Yeah, my best friend Dell, his daughter Daisy, she can't eat any meat anymore. And she doesn't know if and when she ever got bit by this tick, but it literally happened like within the span of a week. She went from being a meat-eating girl to being a total vegetarian because every time she ate meat, it would just make her sick. And when I say sick, I mean, you know what I mean when I'm doing this, right? You know what I mean when I'm doing this, right? I don't mean EpiPen allergic, Kenny. You wish, right? No, I don't mean EpiPen. I mean, tummy is not happy. And once again, we're back on the tummy is not happy. You guys, we got to shut this down. We're shutting this down. We got to shut this down. We have 1 minute left anyway. I already got my 2-minute warning. And somehow, in less than 2 minutes, we ended up back where we were yesterday. All right. It's you guys. Okay, so thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for chatting. Thank you so much for putting up with the vacuum of scatological topics that keeps wanting to suck us in. Yes, thank you for all your participation in Splatter with Statter. That is exactly it. Watch out for ticks. Eat your fajitas. No more fajitas? What do you mean? All the fajitas. Thank you, mods. Exactly, Puzzycat. You've got the pictures to prove what I'm trying to say. Thank you, mods. Thank you, gift subbers. Thank you, cheerers and chatters and chatters and cheerers. And Kenny from the Cove has got a happy belly. 2 grilled cheese Sammies? Yum. All right, then. And Lady Misty, I am so happy to share all the random stuff that falls in my brain. Hopefully, it'll fall out into your brain too. So, I don't want to share too many scatters because, yeah. All right then. We will see each other hopefully on Saturday. We're going to watch some sort of movie. I have no idea what movie we're going to watch. Actually, it just occurred to me right now that I need to figure something out. So we might have a discussion on Saturday what movie, or I might throw a movie down your throat. I don't know. And that's exactly it, Kenny. We do talk a lot of You got it. So, 1 minute past the bottom of the hour. It's time to button things up. We will see each other Saturday, 6 p.m. West Coast time. If not then, Sunday, 5 p.m. West Coast time. All right, y'all. Have yourselves a good day. We'll see each other soon.